I would like to do a video on the Windows 8 interface and theme in general. I'd start off with a disclaimer for this video that I really like the Windows 8 theme. I really enjoy it. I prefer it to Aero theme. I do agree, even though I didn't originally when I installed Windows 8, that the Aero theme is kind of dead. It's old, it looks grainy on most monitors, and it's kind of, retro looking now, surprisingly. Even more surprisingly, the Windows 8 theme, which is all square borders and solid and that, actually looks more modern. I'm not sure why, it just does in my eyes, but I have a few little things about it that I would like to point out and share with you all. Now, the first thing I can think of is that the Windows 8 theme is not new. The way I'm going to demonstrate this is by making you look at icons. The screen I've got up right now is effectively the My Computer screen. If you notice all the icons on it, and including the ones in the right sidebar, you'll notice that none of them are new. All of them are either copied from A, Windows Vista, or B, Windows 7. There are no new icons. This applies to quite a few more areas, such as the layouts and that. There's no original content within the Windows 8 theme, and it shows, it painfully shows, and it dims the experience that you get on Windows 8. I mean, even so much as some new icons on Windows 8 would have made it a hell of a lot better, and would have made the experience more enjoyable for anyone using it. But when I use this theme, I do get the sense that it's just sort of Windows blinds on top of Windows 7. And in fact, the original video of this I recorded, the one that was recorded incorrectly and didn't have audio, actually showed an error with Firefox where the Windows 8 theme actually failed, and it showed the Aero basic theme underneath. So I actually have got an idea that once you make Windows mess up a little bit, it will actually show the Windows Aero theme, the basic theme that you get on Windows 7, is actually the base of this theme. The theme is not actually a new theme, it's just a paint job on top of the Windows 7 basic theme, and nothing else. So that is one of my little things about this. And not only that, but the theme is not consistent. I mean, if I show you with a picture of one of my cats, there you go, you can see immediately that the top bar on that, the buttons, so the top bar up here and the buttons down here, they are not Windows 8. It's all Windows 7, and as soon as you start moving away from the basic Windows Explorer and the new start menu, you start seeing the fact that the Windows 8 theme is kind of only skin deep. There's no consistency, there's no blanketing of the theme. And it's a real problem, because I like the Windows 8 theme, but when you've got a mix and match of this like this, where you've got a bit of curvy, glossy, 3D, and then you've got this flat on top, and it all sort of mixes together in true anarchy, it makes it feel like you've just installed a straight theme from DeviantArt or something, and just slapped it on Windows blinds, or done one of those really cheap sort of makeup programs that just changes your windows a little bit. It doesn't feel professional, it doesn't feel immersive, it feels like you're using something that's half done, half finished, stillborn effectively. And there's certain things about the interface I can't get, but first I will just mention this up here, the control buttons. I would really like borders around those, and that does come on to another subject. I do know that you can activate the Aero Light theme in Windows 8, which does add borders up here. But the problem is that theme hasn't been maintained since the test versions of Windows 8. Not only that, but it changes a lot more of your interface. It changes a lot of things that I don't like. For example, it changes the top bars here as well, and the scroll bars. I like the scroll bars, I like the top bars, I just want borders around my control buttons. I can't get that with the Aero Light theme. So I haven't activated that theme for those two reasons. One, because it hasn't been maintained, and two, because it changes a lot of other stuff as well. Another thing I would like to point out about the theme is that I don't understand why Microsoft has gone to showing all the options you've got in Windows Explorer. All of these options here. Now, you might be saying, oh, but that's really good. But I will mention one thing. Why would you show those options if you didn't want to appeal to power users? Only power users will actually seek out all of these options. 90% of users will use three shortcuts: Control A, Control C, and Control V. That is the three shortcuts that, in fact, are used on Windows 7. I never used the toolbar on Windows 7 except to change the view option so that I could see hidden files. Those three shortcuts got me through pretty much 3 years of Windows 7 usage. The only other thing I did was, of course, move files, which I used the mouse for. So the only reason why you'd really show all this stuff up here, all these functionality that a normal user wouldn't use, is because you want to appeal to power users. But the thing is that the built-in tools that you get with Windows Explorer are so terrible that any power user actually uses something like Total Commander, which allows for things like regular expression renaming with multi-files and whatnot, which goes way beyond what Windows can supply. So I don't quite understand where the theme is trying to come from in terms of showing all these options to the user, because it seems kind of useless to me. I mean, they're trying to appeal to a power user here, but they're not really, because a power user will go off and use something like Total Commander, which is just awesome in comparison to what Windows can provide. I mean, if you want any real serious power with Windows, you're going to have to get the Windows PowerShell out, And then if you really want to be able to read Windows PowerShell, you're going to have to change its defaults, because it comes with that nasty blue background and that really small font that you have to wear magnifying glasses for, I mean, which comes into another part as well, which I would like to mention, but it comes into my quirks video. It's not part of the theme. That comes in the Windows quirks video, so where I mention certain things and problems I've been experiencing with Windows in general. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of confused about the interface. It's confusing as to whether the interface is for basic users, which is Microsoft's turf. If you think about Linux is like the power users kind of operating system, and Ubuntu is like the sort of is like the Windows version of that lot. Whereas if you were to get something like Gen 2, that goes much closer to the true nerd and geek area. Whereas Windows has always been sort of the beginner's sort of nice, safe desktop area. And the fact that they're trying to appeal to power users now doesn't seem to really be working, because their functions are not really all that great. So yeah, I mean, it seems like the Windows theme is kind of confused about what it is. It's kind of confused about whether it's Windows 8 or Windows 7, or whether it's for power users or for normal users. And it really shows through, and it really dims the experience of Windows 8. I would really like to see more consistency with the Windows 8 theme. And in general, just fixing it, because at the moment it is seriously flawed in many different ways. And you will find a more consistent theme by downloading something from Windows Blinds, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the Windows 8 theme, and I hope I've actually shared some possible tips with you lot and some thoughts on that. As an addition, because I've actually written down some more stuff in my little file here, which I didn't actually mention, so I'm going to add a little bit of additional here. One thing I would like to see is that the font size in the top toolbar is a bit smaller. If you can see here, it's actually using up 90% of my computer screen at the moment, in terms of toolbar and that, which is useless. You don't need toolbars as big as that. You can shrink that down a little bit. So I would really like to see that go, and shrink down back to like Windows 7 mode. And one thing that I've got really credit for Windows 8 for, is this task manager. The task manager has always been something that's massively lacking in Windows. It's one of the least sort of looked after parts of Windows. after things such as the administration tools, which allow you to manage the actual backbone of your computer. And it's great now because you can see everything in here. You can see all your startup stuff, and you can even disable startup applications. You don't have to go through services. You don't have to go through startup.msc or whatever it is. I've forgotten what program you actually run to get your startup stuff now, but you don't have to go through all these different hidden programs in Windows. Now you can just quickly and easily get to every part of, the sort of overall of your computer. You can get to all the services, you can get to your app history, but your app history only shows the Windows 8 Metro apps, which is a bit of a bummer. I wouldn't mind it showing all apps. I wouldn't mind it showing my gaming apps, for example. But anyway, and it of course shows really detailed stuff on all your parts of your computer and everything. So yes, I really like the Task Manager on Windows 8. And I believe I've hit the bottom of my list now. Oh, one more thing. The folders on the top of here, I know why they're showing now. Originally I was wondering, why are my folders showing up here? I mean, what's the point of them? I don't need them there. I mean, if I really want them, I'll go down here, I know why they're there now. It's because Windows 8 will by default share your user directory with your entire network. Your private user directory with your entire network. I have no idea why it does that. Don't ask me. But it does. I didn't actually tell it to do that. Originally I actually turned file sharing off. But in order to actually share with other devices on my network, I had to turn file sharing on. And by default it shares your entire private folder, including your desktop and your downloads and your music and your pictures, everything. So yeah, that's actually something to be aware of. I was gonna make that, saying, oh, why is that in the theme? But it's actually in the theme because the Windows 8 is actually sharing those folders by default for some reason. Okay, so that's the amendment.